Hi everyone, it's Tracy from Seedflinger. This is video number 2, and guess what? I went from my last video from 22 subscribers to 26. Woohoo! Gained 4 subscribers. Today, I want to talk about the difference between assessment and judgment and give you more clarity of what I discovered. Before I get into that topic, I want to share with you what kind of equipment I'm using. And I have a phone, a Samsung Galaxy Note 10, and I heard that the camera was really good, so that's why I chose that. And it has this little stylus that I can turn my video on and off with that, as well as the camera if you want to take selfies. And you can also doodle and all kinds of stuff that I'm continuing to learn about. And as you can see on my lapel here, I have a little microphone that clips on and it plugs into the Note 10, and it helps with audio. So for $10, it's worth it, so you don't have to scream if you want your phone across the room. I use to edit my videos, a app called Power Director, and I downloaded it from the Play Store, and the cost of that was $7. It's pretty easy to learn, and you can do it right from your phone. I also have a laptop, and on my laptop, I have 2 software programs for professional editing, in which I'm just beginning to learn right now. Also Power Director called 365. And that particular program allows me to bring in fonts, 3Ds, and swing them around and do transitions and all kinds of really cool stuff that I have yet to learn. So far, I have been just videotaping right from my phone. If you're watching this from Facebook, you won't see this, but if you're on YouTube, there's a little banner by my name, Seedflinger, and I am attempting to change that. I have a picture of Bass Lake, and I want to change it from blue to black, and I have this really cool picture that I edited right in the Note 10 phone that has words like enlightenment, empowerment, love, peace, joy, that I want to stick on my banner so people have an idea of what kind of content I offer. I'm going to attempt to try to change that by the day's end. What I discovered about copyright music is you can't play it. So if you're doing a wedding and the music is uploading, there's this algorithm, which is really a robot. It's artificial intelligence that picks up in the first few seconds, and it will not let you upload the video. I guess you could sing a song and it might not pick it up if you were wanting to sing a song. If you're speaking and it's playing in the background, the algorithm will also pick that up, and you could get a copyright strike. And if you get a lot of those, they'll just take your channel down. So these people that have music are at this point not willing to have anybody use their stuff, even if it's for your own personal use and you're not making any money. Like right now, I don't make any money off my videos. I just give it away. But you can't even use it for that right now. The music that you do hear me play in the background is from YouTube Audio, and it's royalty-free music, and you're free to use that. Sometimes somebody wants you to give them credit, so you just post their link below the YouTube description. Jesus said, "Judge not, lest you be judged." A lot of times people confuse an assessment with a judgment. So an assessment goes on automatically. You can't help but observe. You can't just turn it off. We are automatically observing and assessing. I walk into the room and I see a dog, and I see a table, I see chairs, maybe something on the floor or not, and I just automatically move about. I see other people and I notice certain things, or I don't notice certain things. And this happens on its own and of its own. The ego, which is our lower mind, confuses a thing with our thought about a thing. And that is a judgment. So it's an opinion that gets projected onto a thing, and it is usually black and white. It makes it right, makes it wrong, and it holds in mind that things shouldn't be that way, even though we can see clearly that they are that way. So a judgment is being or thinking, not really understanding the depth of this, but it's being the judge and the jury and finding that which we judge guilty. You invited your friend to come over at 10 o'clock and you notice it's 10:05 and your assessment is what saw that it's 10:05. Then the judgment comes in according to what you believe should and shouldn't be. People should show up on time. Therefore, the moment you see your friend, you're already going to be disappointed, angry, frustrated. That is a judgment. When we hold judgments, we might let people off the hook if they have a really good reason for being late. But ultimately, we are holding the judgment, and the judgment will stay in place until we can see through it, see through the lower mind. And when we do, it lets go of us. And by seeing through it, this is what I mean, that if I believe that being on time is a good thing, then it's my standard. It's for me to live up to. And there's always going to be exceptions to that. Even if I plan accordingly, there might be an accident or a phone call or something that needs my attention. So to say that it absolutely should always be that way is holding a rigid belief. Not to mention that when you're holding somebody else to your standard, expecting them to be on time because it's your standard, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment. We don't have the right to, nor do we have respect for other people if we're trying to dictate how they should live their life. And we don't want them to do that to us, telling us or holding an expectation how we should be. And then when we don't conform, they're angry with us and we don't have a clue why. It's because they held a standard and wanted us to conform to their standard. And most of the time, we didn't even know what that was. So to see through this particular illusion or belief that actually is not an illusion when you're believing it because you're reacting to this thought and you think that you're reacting to the person out there, is to see that that other people live their life. We have to stay in our own business. It's not our job to dictate how people should and shouldn't live. Yes, we can offer suggestions, but if you're holding it in mind that it has to be that way, that if you don't show up on time, then you're wrong. That is a judgment. So I hope you can see the difference. I'm going to use a couple other examples because it took me a while to see through this as well. This lower mind, this egoic mind, will use the same strategy against yourself as it does other people. Let's say I'm in the kitchen and I'm baking something and I reach for the measuring cup and I knock the milk onto the floor. That is the assessment. Okay, there's milk on the floor. I'm baking a cake, and then comes the judgment. You idiot. This is the ignorant or innocent belief in which the mind holds that what actually happened shouldn't have. We don't know we're holding this belief until we search for it because it's buried underneath layers of other beliefs and programs. It's absurd and insane to actually believe that I shouldn't have knocked the milk over because I can clearly see with my assessment there's milk on the floor. You know, ultimately, we don't really care what the body's doing. If it's sitting, standing, laying, bending over, what we really are wanting is to feel good. We want to feel good, whether the milk's on the floor or in the bowl. We want to be in a place where we feel good. And so this is the judgment that Jesus talked about. The moment that I judge out there with my opinion, thinking that I know better, like the accuser, then I suffer the emotions of that instantly. Judge not lest you be judged is the feeling that mirrors back to us the very judgment that we projected onto the world or to other people, even to ourselves. Not only is it hurtful and we're experiencing that, but it's double jeopardy because you just knocked the milk off onto the floor, which you have to clean up if you want the floor not to be full of milk, but now you just found yourself to be an idiot. So you suffered twice. And so when we remove these judgments, when we look at them closely and see that we're actually holding the opposite, then it lets go of us and we no longer live a judgmental life, one judgment at a time. So it's my opinion or my understanding that Jesus didn't say, judge not lest you be judged because you're all idiots, is because you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to harm yourself. You're going to feel the negative aspects of judgment. And to get into a state of love or unconditional love, these have to be removed. And they can't be removed just by telling someone to not judge. We have to actually see how it's harming us. There was this woman, I read her book and I watched her on TED Talk, and her name is Bolte Taylor, and I'll put her link below this video. And this really cool thing that I've come to understand about what she shared is she had a stroke in her 30s, and it took her 8 years to recover. But what happened when she had a hemorrhage in her left brain was that her right brain, which sees in whole pictures, it's the artist part of us, was online as the hemorrhage was in her left brain. So to process linearly and numbers, that she knew that she was in trouble, but she couldn't even dial the phone because all she was seeing were pixels. Anyway, the most important thing about Bolte Taylor is she discovered after this that she called it the 90-second rule, that when something happens, I dropped the milk, I spilled the milk on the floor. And then when I replay that in my mind, because the mind innocently believes that if I go back in time, which is an impossibility, if I go back in time, I can correct that. But all that happens when you go back in time is you replay that over and over. And every time you do, the chemicals in the body release as if it's actually happening. So the body doesn't know the difference between what's real and what we hold in mind. It takes everything at face value. The body is the recipient of the commander-in-chief, and the commander-in-chief is what you say. And so if I call myself an idiot 100 times during the day, I only spilled the milk once, then I am going to feel like an idiot during those times. And it takes 90 seconds for those chemicals to move through the brain. And then so I can get back to my homeostasis, which is my balance, which is my peace, which is our natural state. But we override that constantly by bringing in the belief that that shouldn't have happened and how could I change that? Instead of changing our thinking, we try to relive that event, and then we get slapped again with that 90 seconds of I'm an idiot, I'm an idiot, I'm an idiot. And at the end of the day, you've told yourself you were an idiot 100 times, but you only dropped the milk, spilled the milk one time. Somebody cuts you off and your adrenals kick in and all these chemicals rush through your blood. And then you finally relax, but then the image comes again, and then the adrenals will get blown out again, and then you'll go into fear, and then you'll get angry, and then you want to go chase them down. And this is what we do to ourselves. Someone cut us off once, and for the next 12 to 14 hours, maybe days, weeks, months, years, we keep replaying this event, and the body keeps releasing chemicals, and we keep going into this fear. I almost died. And so we will experience this I almost died for the rest of our lives, trying to get it right. When how we get it right is to change our focus, to change our mind, because you can't relive something that already happened. The mind ignorantly believes that it can, but it can't. We just continue to hurt ourselves. And just to be aware of this, the seed has been flung. Peace to you.